Time and date stamps for the following video. But first, this is a video done by a fool. Constructive criticisms only, strictly enforced. Pay no attention to the backpack and the sword. We're going to be dealing with the years 1984, 2015, 2009, and 2006 if we're using Google Earth maps of the area. 1984, December 13th, around Christmas time, 7 p.m. at Dumfries Shopping Mall in Virginia. A vagrant is said to have lived in the woods near a Napa Auto Parts. This Napa Auto Parts is either, quote-unquote, directly across the street from the next location or next door, depending on which narrative you're reading. At a shopping mall dojo. That's a meme. Yes, I know. Let's continue. This, we're going to call him Kung Fu Guy, a homeless person, walks into the shopping mall dojo and said this among many other things potentially. You can just stand there. Do not make any movement whatsoever. I will not touch you. I just wish to teach you. I do not wish to hurt you. I think it would be best maybe if perhaps I just perform, which is known in karate as kata. The word karate is being used here generically. It was used generically by everybody involved, including the news. I'm not correcting them, and I don't want to hear any pedantic, corrections here. Because you're wrong. And I'm going to say that, again, I'm the fool. This was the dojo controlled by, and this is not ambiguously stated, Bobby Joe Blythe. He said, among many things, "We're all in here for knowledge, aren't we, gentlemen? Go ahead and demonstrate around him." He's either saying this to Kung Fu Guy, the homeless guy, who may or may not be mentally okay. Again, I'm just reading the statements that I'm trying to make a point with here. Or he's saying this to the other person who is wearing white with a black belt, who is supposedly his student, Bobby Joe Blythe's student. Kung Fu Guy said at one point, "Don't do that, I'm not a fighter." Along with all the other things, what is your evaluation of this homeless person who either went across the street or was next door near the Napa Auto Parts, a homeless person living in the woods? Then a person who is identified, and this is an identity that isn't being questioned, although I hesitate to say it. This is probably the person in white with the black belt who got in an altercation with him. Willie J Dennis. Our homeless Kung Fu Guy got beaten really horribly and bloody. There was a blood trail as they dragged him out of the building, and various other things happened. The video ended then with Bobby Joe Blythe, the instructor, probably that same minute or hour, showing smears of blood where the students dragged him out towards the door. But the door is lit from back outside. That may be a light source outside from a light. It should also be pointed out the blood doesn't look, quote, right, because the color correction on the camera is demonstratively broken, if not just simply out of adjustment, and the lighting is very poor. It should be pointed out that when he goes outside the door, the back door, he shows a blood smear on the door, more than one, and says that's where the students dragged him out. And in the video, I have a bunch of screenshots I'm going to patch together to make the door so that's a little bit more identifiable. The color correction's wrong, and that last part of the video is filmed for I don't know how many seconds and shows probably the next day. 25 years later, 2009, on a YouTube channel, Bobby Joe Blythe 007, it's very likely, if not absolutely, the same person posting a video April 1st. Okay, now right there, we're going to cut this off and stop. What is this video about? I'm not critiquing what happened in 1984. I'm critiquing people's reaction in 2009, trying to retroactively, explain and then investigate what they thought was somebody maybe even dying 25 years earlier, including the police, and then their critique of everything, ignoring a 25-year time gap. The description of the video will be read in a minute, but it was put under category sport and tagged with Bobby Joe Blythe, dojo, martial arts, Shodokan, yes, I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry, karate, self-defense, combat fighting, Virginia, and Crazy Jesus. Again, Jesus taught me is one of the expressions the guy used. The same day dojo is also depicted in Bobby Joe Blythe's YouTube video, August 24th, 2009, and a backup copy is listed below, and I'm going to read it. It has upper and lowercase characters. You have to read it. NRVBI4W-8KY. YouTube has used this numbering system, because letter and number, because you can cut and paste just that and people can find a video. First critique. Absolutely no one put a plain text version of the URL to find the video. Most of them link to LiveLeak, where it was re-uploaded as YouTube mentally challenged man beaten, potentially killed. Or Reddit. Crazy fucking videos, comments, long string of characters, dojo fight goes wrong. No one gave citations where they got the video from, the original URL, nothing. First response people give, why would that matter? I can't find the original video to confirm it really existed at that time and date stamp if you go out of your way as news sources and investigators and an entire police force to not give a link to it. The only thing I got is a partial link that's W2GP8J. And then the rest of the URL is missing. It could be 1 or 2 characters. There's 64 combinations per character. I can't find it. And someone went out of their way to cut it off. Are you shitting me? Nobody could cut and paste the URL. Oh, well, everybody knows where it is. Yeah, at the time, let me get this straight. News sources, literally news channels, found an incriminating piece of data on the internet and refused to give a link to it. Oh, well, it's extreme content. It's on fucking YouTube. There's dozens of duplicates, but the originating source leading directly to the perpetrator, you're claiming, and you didn't include the fucking first step. Where's the video? Well, it's on YouTube. Now you're in my dojo with no mojo. If any of you can find any of the people who were reporters at the time, I don't care if it was printed in the newspaper, who didn't overtly go out of their way to print the entire URL to the video, that is not a news source, and that is not a newspaper person, and not a journalist you should ever trust again, because that's step one. The only data they have is the nitwit posting potentially incriminating data about himself as the dojo owner on his YouTube channel. That's the presumption, right? What's the statute of limitation for responsibility or liability in Virginia for a person running a training environment for martial arts to be responsible for the behavior of a student? It doesn't matter what the person's intentions were. It doesn't matter what your presumption that the person should be legally or illegally held. Willie J Dennis got arrested for unrelated shit and ended up going to jail in Florida. He's already got a record. Would he be qualified? Does he have plausible deniability as a student? I was trained in attack and kill. You can see another video where the dungeon master here, dojo master, tells everybody if somebody walks in here, they're asking to get beaten to a pulp. And they're lucky if they don't die. That was the attitude of the guy. But the person who actually did the beating versus his controller, his handler, who's guilty? After 25 years, who holds legal liability for a court case? Who holds legal liability or is presumed liable for a criminal case? So what happened to the guy who got beat up? Just getting to the point. Someone, again, 25 years later was asked, what was the guy's name? I don't know. Oh, you didn't make a note of it? And then people just ran with that. No, he didn't remember because he doesn't know. The person they were talking to was no longer a police officer at that location anymore that had access to records rapidly. He was asked questions about something that was 25 years before. That at the time in 1984, that would mean digging up records, a lot of them, to try to find out what happened. Well, we know the date and time. Yeah, it would have been Christmas time, 1984, in Virginia, involving a homeless person who stated, while limping, I don't want to press charges, and may have refused to give his name, or may have given a fake name. I was Whack Tech on the streets. I had a street name. I was homeless at one time. The last thing on earth I want to deal with when I'm healing up is a potential cop beating because of the next assertion. This is a mall dojo that trained cops. Now, whether or not that's some conspiratorial bullshit or not, or true, it's not relevant. What would be your perspective after getting your ass kicked and nobody doing anything about it when the cops found him the next day? Assertion made in the video. Again, this is 25 years later. Nobody remembered his name. He might have used a fake name. And everybody investigating it skipped step 0. Gave opinions. Even videos you find of this have a shit ton of commentary over the top and rewind and fast forward things and dramatically zoom shit in and out. Everything I could possibly come up with to complain about in a hypothetical situation is in this case. That's why I'm covering it. This dummy was in my shopping center while I was on a bodyguard job in Washington, D.C. If you're not aware, this is 26 miles away or so. Okay? This guy was in the Pizza Hut eating pizza off plates of others, and the Pizza Hut manager ran him out with a pistol. Later that same day, the police officers were called to remove him from a nearby pharmacy after being caught reaching into customers' purses. A short time after that, he visited the Napa Auto Parts store, quote, next to my karate dojo. The word karate is being used because that's what's being used. And told the management he planned on teaching in the dojo and that Jesus taught him. Napa guys told him he was confused and warned him against any action. But not wanting to miss a show, they told the man they would close early just to watch and that he must not know the owner, which is nobody to play with. You can see the attitude coming out here. If any of you have ever dealt with anybody who ever said, I'm a Marine on Fleet Week in Portland, everybody's a Marine. Everybody's special forces. Everybody's special. You might see this kind of oozing out. This is pure 1984 attitude. No, this is typical 2009 too. Needless to say, the police pulled him out of the dumpster behind my karate dojo where he was neatly placed. Semper Fi to all my Marine brothers. The karate student in white is also a Marine sergeant. Brand new black belt. Never get stupid with a Marine. You could get jacked up and have your clock stopped. Okay, let's get this done. I have no doubt that all of the individuals in the room were probably cops, ex-cops, ex-Marines, current Marines. Doesn't matter. Don't even assume that they're not. Just assume that it's a worst-case scenario where you're going to get your ass kicked because people are trained. Number one. Number two, the dojo master is that kind of guy. Okay, that's out of the way. Let's get that done. Next, video proves his attitude about this, and he filmed it himself. Promotional content. Let's get a couple of things out of the way. Every single person who was able to check up on this after the fact stated that they couldn't find an example of anybody ending up in the morgue years later, matching the description. They couldn't. There's one person brought up, but it's not the same person. That's been checked. Second, we have a cop 25 years later saying the best he can remember, the guy just refused to press charges and he was limping, but he was otherwise okay. Days later. Next, there's no police report because maybe they're all in on it. Okay, fine. But, and that's it, but we don't have any data. Next, my critique here is of everybody in 2009 when archiving was a thing, not just typing out the URLs. Next, the guy probably survived and lived on many years afterwards. But we don't know. Next, if he's out there, I doubt that he'd be interested in potentially getting in a fight with someone who probably said boisterously, I'm an ex-Marine, blah, 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 and I'm in good with the cops, and we were on the news, and we're special people, and you're not. The status of the individual who is harmed is the deal. Next, the absolute obsession with never posting the raw video is pissing me the hell off. Again, I need the original data. If anybody knows of the original copy of it, cleaner than what I can find at the Reddit posting, cool. I can only type it out because YouTube flags anything linking to Reddit. So you'll have to go look it up. It's pretty easy to look up. I'll make it a Google lookup search. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with it.